Well, amid the warnings from Eskom today that we're going to be on stage 5 for the rest of winter, their words, not mine, and probably stage 8 at some point this week, the Energy Minister, Gwede, Mantashe, explaining how he plans to implement changes he announced in his budget speech in Parliament this week. There'll be new bid windows for 10,000 megawatts of electricity and 3,000 megawatts for gas-to-power plants, and then 2,500 megawatts for nuclear. He also said this week that the NGOs that go to court to stop the exploration for oil and gas are often foreign-funded. He also said that no matter how many times they take him to court, government will always allow people to explore for oil and gas. Kholwani Simelane is an advocacy officer for the Green Connection. Kholwani, good afternoon to you. Firstly, the plans for electricity. More renewables, more nuclear, more gas. Is this the right approach to our problems, the right energy policy?
Thank you, Stephen, and all the viewers at home. I mean, definitely one of the main highlights that all of us within the country do welcome, for sure, and most definitely, I think, would be that renewable energies is part of the conversation. However, there remains concerns over gas to power and nuclear for its harms upon the environment itself, as we as NGOs have been fighting, going to court, and having so many court challenges against the department itself.
So I understand, of course, you would welcome the new renewable generation capacity. Gas is quite complicated. We'll come to that in a moment. The issue around nuclear is fascinating. It would probably take quite a few years, probably at least 8 years, to build more nuclear capacity. But there are advantages. It doesn't produce greenhouse gases. There are disadvantages. You have to put the nuclear waste somewhere. Do you believe it's going to happen, that there'll be new nuclear generation capacity in South Africa?
With the climate concerns that which we've highlighted with so many organizations in South Africa, even on the international platform, I do believe that nuclear energy is not a way we need to go. And I don't think at some point it's even environmentally friendly towards creating some form of change within our, and in as much we do need electricity generation capacity within our grid. However, nuclear is not one of the ways in which we're going to achieve this grid capacity.
Why not? It's always on. Once you've paid for it up front, you kind of pretty much guarantee that it'll produce the same amount of electricity for a very long period of time, relatively safe. What's the case against nuclear?
I think the case against nuclear is two. One being the safety, and secondly being the management, waste management. And I don't think there are proper systems in place currently to hold that into making sure that those two things will be addressed, or is a concern that will be addressed.
The 3,000 megawatts for gas to power, is that roughly the same amount that car power ships would bring? And it seems to me, Kholwani, that whether you like car power ships or not, and the whole idea of power ships, it seems that government is heading that way. Gwede Mantashe seems to want it as the energy minister. I think the president sort of hinted at that. I think the electricity minister, Consigliere Makgopa, has hinted at that. It seems that the tide may be turning against you on that.
Definitely, and that's very concerning once again, Stephen, because all these different projects and plans that are being planned and want to be pushed forward are not obviously considering what communities, coastal communities to be specific, and other communities against these projects. We feel that their voices are not heard, or they're not even given a chance to voice out any form of development that needs to take place within their own homes or households.
Okay, fine, but we need the electricity. I mean, we desperately need the electricity. If you had to conduct a referendum right now, should we use car power ships or not? Should we reduce load shedding by 2 or 3 stages or not? I don't think the coastal communities would win.
I think this is one of the things about the energy crisis currently, Stephen, is that we are so desperate that we can at this point take anything in order for us to not face this crisis. However, I think we do need to think about the future. It's not only about us, but also future generations or the next generation to come, because whatever decisions are being made now will inevitably affect future generations. And that's also something we need to put into context. And I'm glad that people are speaking about a greener economy, whereby there will be more, renewable energies in place. And I think that also needs to be a conversation as to why does there need to be timelines set towards renewable energies being procured. I think that's also something we need to put into the fold of this conversation.
The Minister has been quite critical of NGOs about all of this. He says many of them are foreign funded. I know the argument would go, well, many of the oil companies that would benefit from oil and gas exploration are foreign too. They're called Royal Dutch Shell or British Petroleum. Are you surprised at what the Minister said this week?
I'm really not surprised on what the Minister has said. And he's very confident that and believes what he has said. However, I mean, we as NGOs are just fighting and protecting the environment. And it's not only us as NGOs, but also communities themselves are standing up against the government. And it's very disappointing to see the government not putting people's views first, but thinking about profits. And that's a profit-driven agenda that which we need to kill from our leaders, because one thing our leaders need to remember is that they are elected by the people and are not put there to think that they were not put there by people, but they put themselves there.
Thank you very much indeed. Kholwani Simelane is an advocacy officer at the Green Connection. Do appreciate the time.